Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. As you know, here at Ankerstar Wealth, we do two things for you. We do wealth management, where we try to make you as much money as we can within your risk tolerance, of course, while you're working, during your working years, and also financial planning to set you up for retirement later on in life. So that's how our topics are organized today. First of all, I'm going to lead off talking about the main topic from yesterday, that moved Google up over 6%, is Apple and Google working together for using their new AI platform, Gemini, which has had a lot of negative press lately, in a positive way in the new Apple iPhones. So I'll start off with that again. That's to make us money, since those are two of the four biggest holdings we have. And then we'll transition over to Mike, who's going to talk about some retirement planning topics that we don't always talk about. Generally we talk about to get you there, but two things you might consider in retirement are where to retire, and that's not only just the state to retire to, the tax-friendly states, that sort of thing, but also possibly even outside the U.S. So Mike's got a fun little piece to talk about that. Before we get started, remember, this is a financial education presentation. Yeah, do your own due diligence before acting upon anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Now let's go ahead and get started with what is going on between AI and Google and Apple. Well, this was the article that ran yesterday. The piece that ran yesterday here on CNBC.com. It's a video, so there's not anything playing there. But they really announced, I'll bring up the Bloomberg article. They really announced that, Apple's in talks with Google to use Gemini inside their phones. So when you think of the AI craze and, has my Apple stock been left for dead, and is Google dead because everything is NVIDIA, because that's all anybody wants to talk about, even though it's kind of overvalued opinion, side opinion. But so Apple has traditionally been this company that is secretive. It doesn't let stuff out until it's actually ready to go. So that's why you just don't hear a lot from them. So they get left for dead sometimes. And when you look at Apple's chart, that's kind of what you're seeing here. This is a one-year chart from CNBC. You had the beginning of the year, which was right in here, this area, and it's really kind of sold off this year. Went down to below 170. Folks are like, hey, is Apple dead? I like the panic that folks had. If it goes up too much, everybody, the panic is fear of missing out. If it goes down too much, is Apple dead? Is it over? Well, I don't know. Was it over twice last year? You tell me, right? I'm telling you that the thesis is still alive, that it's the best tech company out there. And they're using one of the other best companies out there, Google's AI, that, yes, it stubbed its toe on some questions early on, but they're using that in their phones. You have to imagine that these two putting their minds together aren't going to miss. So, if anything, if you don't have enough Apple stock, which most of us do, since it's the #1 holding in the book, but here's a place where you could consider adding, just like you had that opportunity in here last year. Can't predict the future, but I certainly like what I see for Apple going forward. The Google side of that, they've also kind of sold off again, one-year chart. More recently, this is the Gemini, and it's answering its questions a little bit to an extreme, if you will. Won't go into specifics, but really bounced straight up from that, and a 6% move up yesterday. Not worried about Apple, not worried about Google. I like the partnership that they have. So overall, I think it was a fantastic move on their part, and I'm very excited for both stocks from here. So with that, let's transition over to Mike and have him talk about some tax-friendly states for us.
Yes. So when it comes to saving up for retirement, a lot of times we're focused on how we can earn money during our working years, how much to save, what to invest in, and to get that nest egg built up prior to our retirement. But once we hit retirement, and I'm going to share my screen, another thought is, where do we actually retire to that is friendly? Whether we stay in our, Steve in the state of Texas, me in Ohio, wherever, but is it a tax-friendly state for retirement? And I'm going to share my screen, and you can see this graph on wisevoter.com, state rankings by retirement taxes. Some some states tax Social Security, some tax pensions if you have one, and other ones have just other variations. And you can see this range here where Texas is a tax-friendly, one of 10 tax-friendly states, but not the absolute most tax-friendly. And I know a lot of times people like to retire to Florida as another one, Nevada, Alaska, not high on my list of places to retire to, but very a tax-friendly state. So you can kind of see this graph here. But retiring to a state strictly based on taxes, probably not the right decision. There's much more to it. Like, for example, I don't know if I know of anyone that has retired to Alaska because of the tax benefits. There's some living adjustments there. So what I found is a ranking that looks at the best states to retire in based on affordability, quality of life, and health care. Now, whether you agree that those are the metrics you should look at, I think they're very solid. They give 40% to affordability, 30% to quality of life, and 30% to health care. In this chart, Virginia comes out number 1, which is pretty impressive. Florida, number 2, which, that would be short on my list when you consider weather. I don't know why Texas is so low. So I don't know, Steve, if the quality of life or healthcare or what you guys got going out there in Texas, but it actually is even below Ohio, where I'm at. So, anyways, yeah, I know, shocking, right? It's the first time Steve's seeing this chart here, and quality of life. When you look at that, Massachusetts listed number 1, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Florida, New Hampshire. Healthcare, Minnesota. That's probably why Minnesota ranks so high. It's got 2 in the top 5. You can get an idea. So, I like to think weather, like where's a nice, reasonably warm place? Because I've lived in places like Maine and Michigan and cold weather places. So, that would also be on my list of things to consider. So if you're watching this video and you're looking at it and you're thinking, I don't live in Texas or Ohio, put in what state you live in. Let us know. Is it a good place to retire? And let's see if we can make our own list.
There you go.
If you start to think along these lines of which state to retire in, when you consider the world and how everything is connected and how we can get from here to there, why not consider other countries? So this is really kind of stepping out. So I'm going to show, according to U.S. News and World Report, the best countries, top 5 countries for a comfortable retirement. Number 1, Switzerland. That sounds cold. I don't know. It was number 2. It was number 2 in 2022. So, but now it's number 1 for last year. Portugal, number 2. Australia, number 3. New Zealand, number 4, and Spain, number 5. Actually, I'll throw in Canada, number 6. That sounds like Alaska. Well, anyways, just thought I would show that. I have seen articles about expatriates, going to different countries. I always like Ecuador, places like that sounded like nice to go, but they at least didn't rank on this list. So when it comes to retirement, very far in the future, when maybe your kids have moved out throughout the United States, consider what state they went to, and maybe you want to retire to that one. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Steve.
All right, thanks, Mike, on that. And you're right. I'm former military. Mike's got military time as well, and a lot of, especially me being on a retirement, you can actually go to, live in a different country at a whole different tax bracket. They're making, your 40,000, 50,000 a year, whatever you're getting for your retirement pay, versus staying here in the U.S. But one thing that I just, Bitcoin has been in the news, and you do have to say there are two countries out there using Bitcoin as their official currency. So again, El Salvador and Central African Republic. I don't know how high those were on your list of overall retirement countries, though. Maybe not that high, but probably moving up the chain. So that's what we got for you today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.